The K-shaped economic recovery. Winners, losers. Now, Jim Ossofsky, interpreting events to build wealth. So this is where COVID hit, and we've got our K-shaped recovery. We have the people here that are getting richer, and we have the people going in the other direction that are getting poorer and poorer. The people that are winning own stocks and real estate. And we see stocks and real estate soaring in value. The people down here aren't participating in that at all. The people up here, the winners, they work from home. The people down here work generally in travel, tourism, hospitality, retail, the service sector, generally low-paying jobs, where we're hit very hard by the pandemic. So we have a real widening here, and it's getting wider all the time, of getting richer, getting poorer. And it's really never been more stratified than today. What's the cause of this, really? Why are we going in different directions like this? Well, two words: central banks. So the central banks, I think, are completely responsible for this K-shape. So the central banks are buying massive amounts of bonds, and whenever bonds go up in value and they're being bought, automatically interest rates go down. When bonds go up, interest rates go straight down. And we see near zero interest rates, which fuels the real estate markets and the stock markets even more. And consumers are tempted to borrow large amounts of money because money is so cheap. And where are you going to put it? You're going to leverage yourself in the real estate market, probably with a small down payment. And as it goes up and up, you could magnify your gains, and in the stock market. So the lower interest rates are causing that. And at the same time, we have the government, when the central bank buys their bonds, they simply give the money away to the citizens. You know, Biden's last $1.9 trillion payment to the Americans was simply the central bank buying the $1.9 trillion and him giving away the money directly. He could also give it away, do the same thing for infrastructure. In Canada, you see hundreds of millions of dollars being given to the people, mortgage deferrals, rent deferrals, and so that's the magic of the central banks. They just simply take on the liabilities of all these loans, and on the central bank's books you would see these liabilities increasing and increasing and increasing. But there's really nothing to stop them except the confidence that you have in that particular country or that particular central bank associated with it taking on those massive debts. In the Great Depression, this didn't take place at all, and certainly with the pandemic, we should have had a Great Depression and massive unemployment, and we did see stocks fall very quickly at the beginning until the feds came in and rescued the economy. But it's possible that they just have kicked the problem down the road. So what's the result of all this? The result of all this are huge consumer debts, and they just go higher and higher, and huge government debts. And we see real estate continue to go up, and we see the stock markets continue to go up and up. What does the future hold? If we're going to look into the future, it's very possible we could see economically a very, very long-lasting period of very, very low growth. As a result of these debts, we see that consumers have pulled forward a tremendous amount of their spending. You know, for instance, let's say you were in one of the big cities and you paid $1 million for a house. Well, if you look at it realistically, in that city, the average household income might be $68,000 a year, and you're going to work, say, 35 years. 35 years times $68,000 a year is about $2.4 million. So what you've done is you've pulled forward almost half of your lifetime earnings after tax. So I'm not really sure where you're going to generate your spending in the future, having pulled forward half your lifetime earnings to today. But you're going to be on the hook for that, most definitely. And that's going to slow your spending in the future, and that's why we would probably see a very long, prolonged period of very slow growth. Possibly like Japan for 30 years, a generation. We should also see in that scenario that the massive government deficits, because the governments have to pay back the central banks, the loans and the interest on the loan. Well, actually, the central bank gives the governments back the interest because they're non-profit. But you'd see massive government deficits, which would lead to higher taxes. And you probably don't want higher taxes when you've pulled forward a massive amount of your spending, maybe half your lifetime's earnings, and they're going to tax you more on what you do have. So that scenario could lead to very slow growth in the future. Probably the most dangerous scenario of this is non-economic. It would be social. The greater the stratification becomes, the greater the social unrest. Jim Ossoffy, interpreting events to build wealth.